Hey guys, my name is Tin and I post weekly videos about fishing and related trips. On today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 easy and basic rig that I use and I think that most of the beginner fishermen who fish from the bank use that help them catch fish. So without further ado, let's go and check the first rig. My favorite rig to use while fishing from the bank is slip and slide rig, which has, this is the line, which has a small weight like this. Then I use a bead, or you can do it without the bead as well. I use a bead and then there is a swivel. So there's a weight, swivel, and there's a bead in between the swivel, and there's a line that goes down, and there is your hook. What I usually use on these kind of things is my trustworthy power bait. You roll the dough around the hook like this. What happens when you throw this rig is the weight goes down to the bottom, your power bait floats, and then the fish grabs it, runs away, gets hooked, and then you'll feel the bite on your rod. So usually this is the setup I use the most. This is slip and slide rig. It has a small weight, it has a swivel, it has a bead in between the swivel and the weight, because every time you cast, the weight hits the swivel, which can break or cut your line. So if you put the bead, it helps absorb that shock and then protect your line. From the swivel, I have about 12 inch of the test line. I have a treble hook and then the power bait. So let's throw this one. Once you throw the bait in the water, I usually like to use a bobber and a bail. Bobber, I just slide down the line, and then the bail I clamp on the fishing rod. So if I'm talking to you like this and the bail goes up, then I know that there is a fish bite, so I can run, get the bail off, take the bobber off, and start reeling the fish. Some of the hook, they are a little bit heavy, so they don't float off the water, and then that's why you might miss some bites. So keep that in mind. But as long as you use size 12 to size 16 treble hook or the single hook and put enough amount of power bait on it, they should float. Usually that works. So not all places you can use slip and slide rig. What happens is, like, some places they have weed, they have submerged structure like rocks or fallen trees on the bottom. So if you use slip and slide rig, the weight takes the rig down and then the hook is there, but when you are reeling in or when the fish bite, it gets stuck in between rocks, or your hook grabs a branch of the fallen tree that's underneath the water, or your hook gets tangled in weed or submerged grasses or something like that. So let's go and check another rig that I usually use. So here is your basic float bobber rig. So you have a bobber, you have a swivel here, and then you have a bait. In between the bait, depending upon what you prefer, you might put a split shot or 2, and then you are ready to cast. You can see that your bobber is floating. When you get the fish, or there is a fish that's biting on your bait, the bobber will go down, and that's how you know that you got a fish. A good thing about this bobber float rig is that your bait does not have to be a floating bait. because you're using a bobber to keep your hook above the bottom of the water. So you can use night crawler, you can use non-floating bait like salmon eggs or any other kind of eggs that does not float, and you still will be able to catch fish. But if you want to cast a little bit further from the bank, or there's a wind blowing and you have a hard time keeping your bait in an area that you think the fish are, and then you want to keep it around there to get better bites, then you can put some weight. One that is usually popular is split shots like this. You just use these and clamp it to, depending upon your preference, how far you want to throw or how strong the wind is blowing or which area you are targeting that day. But I would say don't go beyond 3 split shots. I usually use 1. So right in the middle from your barrel swivel to your bait, you put the split shot here. So you are happy with the depth and then you want to keep it stationary at that depth. So what you do is, like, from this end you go to the other end, clamp it down, put your line through it. So now what happens is it won't slide. So there you let's say I'm not getting any bite on power bait or bobber float rig or slip and slide rig, and I'm getting bored, so I want to walk around the bank and cover as much space as I can and cast a lure, reel it in, cast a lure, reel it in, so it increases the chance of me catching the fish. Let's say I want to use a small minnow like this, a Rapala minnow. So I'll take this bait out of the box. I use this usually in the moving bodies of water, so you don't need a lot of weight, you just cast, reel it in and still get the bite. So here's a split ring at the mouth of this lure, and you can tie a knot directly. One thing I like to do when I'm lure fishing is I tie another snap swivel at the end, and there you are. So you have a main line, you have a barrel swivel, and then on another end you have a snap swivel. When you're walking down the line, you don't have a lot of gear with you and you have to change your bait on the fly, like while walking, then having a snap swivel helps a lot, because then you can take this thing off easily, put this thing aside and take another bait that you want to use. Let's say you want to use a rooster tail, then you don't have to tie everything again. You have this bait, so you slide this thing down, close the snap, and there is your another lure. So here's your basic lure setting. You don't need a weight, you usually use a swivel. I like to use another snap swivel at the end of the test line. After you tie the lure, you just throw it in the water and then reel it in. It's pretty easy like that. So here's the first fish, and I think I got him good. So let me unhook this one. Hey guys, so I haven't caught any more fish and the weather is getting a little bit warm, so I have already taken off my jacket and I'm thinking I'll just start packing up and leave. That's all for me for today. I had a good time. The weather today, it's nice and sunny. I hope you like the video. You can try those rigs yourself, the slip and slide, bobber float and the lure rig, and hopefully you'll have a better luck than me. If there is anything else that you'd like me to do a video about, leave me a comment and I'll do that in my future video. Once again, thank you so much for staying till the end. Take care and have a nice day.